What's up, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio, Part 3 Training Camp Preview, talking tight ends. A group that you could either have a negative or positive outlook on, depending on what your view is of the veterans that we're spending about $20 million on, that were a little bit underwhelming in year one. You can maybe blame that on the quarterback position and the offense as well. But you also have a couple young kids, in particular Jeremy Ruckert, that have a lot of upside. Now you're putting them into a new offense. You got Rodgers throwing the football around. So it's kind of tough to evaluate, starting with Uzomah. I liked the signing last year, mainly for the leadership that he brought. Just going from the Bengals, where they were a last place team, had the number one overall draft pick, and then 2 years later they're in the championship game. I like that he got to be a part of that entire process. Was there for all their down years, and then got to see it turn around. So being able to bring that leadership over, I think, was important. Unfortunately, on the field, didn't see a whole lot of production out of him. Does almost everything somewhat well, but nothing that he really does great. So you wonder, with a veteran quarterback like Rodgers, could he have a little bit more of a role in the offense this year, or is he going to be still that blocking tight end that maybe catches one or two balls a game? Conklin is probably going to be the security blanket and the safety valve for Aaron Rodgers, a guy that is pretty good with the ball in his hands. As long as he's catching it, had a couple drops, a couple fumbles last year. Never really had that issue with Minnesota. So I'm expecting a pretty big year out of Conklin. Can definitely see 60, 70 catches. Where it's going to be intriguing is what do you get beyond those two? Jeremy Ruckert's the guy I think everybody has their eye on. Third-round pick from last year. Didn't see the field at all, whether that was him, LaFleur, the offense. Not really sure, but I think this year he's in for a big season. You can already see him and Rodgers have some chemistry together, and they enjoy being around each other. Establishing that trust with him, I think, is important. As long as he's grasping the playbook, he understands what he needs to do. He's got the size to hold his own in blocking. I think he could definitely have a big role in this offense, possibly at fullback as well. Beyond him, you got some intriguing options as far as converted receivers as well. I know everybody's talking about Zach Kuhn, 6'7", but I think he's more likely than not a good candidate for the practice squad this year. Somebody that is going to need to put on a little bit more size, kind of work on some technique things, improve as a blocker. Maybe you see a role for him in the offense next year. But for this year, I'm looking at a couple of converted receivers to tight end. You got Kenny Yeboah, who's coming back. He's been with the Jets for the last couple of years. He's got a different kind of dynamic to him, a little bit more speed, a little bit more pass-catching ability than what they probably have with the top three. And then you also have a couple undrafted free agents that you're bringing in as well. Between E.J. Jenkins and Isaiah Gaddings. Jenkins is somebody that, if you go to YouTube, check out some of his highlights. He's got some pretty nice catches. So all three guys are, again, converted receivers. They've got some athletic ability, not something that you really have with those top three guys. So I think there's definitely going to be some opportunities for one of those three to potentially carve out a spot. I think they'll keep 4 tight ends, and I'm expecting Kuhn's probably to land on the practice squad.